finally get to talk to you almost, well, not quite person to person, but, kind of back and forth.
Would you like to start by introducing yourself and what's your relationship with Little Woman?
Hello, my name is Christina, and if you are on Tumblr, you probably know my blog, Jo and Friedrich. It was started because I just love them so much and did not think that they got the recognition they deserved. And I've been a fan of Little Women for the longest time. Like, first time I read it was like between, I'm going to say the ages of 10 to 12. That was like somewhere around the ages that I started to read it. So been a fan ever since.
That's amazing.
It was the great illustrated copy of it. So like it was sort of the abridged version, and then managed to over the years finally get a hold of the copy that was an unabridged version. So it was sort of a journey to get to where I'm at right now of like almost full-blown obsession.
I think one of the reasons why I actually started my podcast was because of your blog. Because when I was younger and I was obsessed with Little Woman, I was in Live Journal, and then there were like Amy and Laurie group and Jo and Friedrich group that I was lurking there. They slowly vanished.
Aww.
I think your blog was really the only place where I could find people who were interested from the canon. Everywhere else, it was just about the films or very strange views about Little Women that I did not agree. I am very grateful for your blog, and I think many others are too.
Aww, that's so great to hear.
Yeah.
I mean, I felt just like you. It was like either most of the people that were around me didn't know or care about Little Women, and those that did were just kind of knew only like you said, the movie version. And many of them are great. I don't know if we'll ever get to it, but we can, I have many thoughts of the most recent. But most of the times, the film version seems to sort of put more focus on Jo and Laurie. And I was like,
I wanted to let you all know that a Little Woman podcast now has merchandise available at society6.com/Little Woman podcast. There you will find stickers, posters, mugs, and t-shirts to fulfill all your Little Woman needs. Come and check it out. Link is also in the description. And now, to the podcast.
No, like, to me, I don't know, it felt, and this is because, again, I remember when reading the books, I was like, it almost felt a little incestuous to me because I always identified with Jo, and I have a brother, and so much of Jo and Laurie's relationship while they were like growing up felt very much how like me and my brother would interact, just this very goofy, ridiculous antics that to the point where I would probably be doing like some of the more quote unquote boy stuff. So when people were like, oh, Jo and Laurie, I'm like, ew, no, I can't. Like not at all. That for me was just like, that's just too weird. I can't even fathom the thought of Jo and Laurie at all.
Yeah, that is very true. And then there's this quote from Louisa May Alcott where she writes that she wrote Laurie to be the brother that she never had.
Yeah, it's very shocking that most people don't pick up on that, really, how incredibly brother and sister their relationship is like. And I know that some people are like, oh, I love the idea of childhood friends to lovers, but it's like not them. Not them at all.
Yeah, I think with Laurie, there are a lot of things that people just ignore about this character. And we've talked about this before, like the catfishing and the proposal and him threatening that he's going to hurt himself. And all these very disturbing red flags are there, but then they're not in the films and most people don't know about them.
Yeah, it's amazing just how the media will change your perception of what a story is. Because I remember, I don't know if you maybe had seen it, but someone, I think it was their own post or someone replied to a post I did, and they're like, after watching the 2019 movie, I was like, maybe I'll go read the book. And they were not just surprised, but full-blown shock to see that there was no not even a hint of Jo and Laurie. And they were like, in a way disappointed and like kind of really like upset that Gerwig would do that when like the book never did. So it's amazing. So yeah, it's amazing how like how media / movies and whatnot will change how we perceive how the story should be, because that's not how it went at all.
Somebody commented quite recently that Gerwig cared more about her actors than the book itself, and I think that could be true. I think it's also a problem in the 1994 film and maybe the 1949 film. So she just continued this long tradition of romanticizing Laurie. There's no excuses for that.
No, not at all. And this is not like, I think in general Laurie is a good character, but it takes him a while to get to be a great character. But they all got flaws, but he just seems to be the one that really is like stand out, and to the point of like, okay, that's very problematic, dude. During this day and age, if you did at least one of those things that Laurie did, a girl would be like, just dump him, girl. Don't even bother, But yeah, like I said, they don't put focus on that, and I think it's a shame, because when he does propose to Jo, and I do have a little thing I want to mention about that. I'll get to that in a moment. When they portray his like heartbreak, it's like, oh, poor Laurie, but it's like, no, it's not really poor Laurie, because you've had so many signs leading up to Jo being like, I can't or I won't, because you clearly didn't get the hints before. And I've seen some people that have said, Jo was so mean to him during the proposal. And it's like, not for nothing, but wouldn't you be too, if after all those years, him trying to like, flirt with you and like kind of try to kiss you and whatever else, and you're just like, in the nicest way, no. And then you just being so fed up with it. Like, I don't blame her at all.
Well, in the book, the reason why Jo goes to New York is because Laurie was harassing her.
Yeah. And that was what I was going to say, is that I hate when the movies do the proposal before New York, because it seems like she's just trying to like walk away from like heartbreak, or like, oh, I can't watch poor Laurie be sad. And it's like, no, she left before proposal happens, because she wants to get away from him, so that way he can be like, all right, just take time, try to, maybe after some time away, you can figure out that you don't really care for me as much as you think you do. And that's why when she comes back, she's just like, you know what, I'm done. Yeah, I don't like it when the movies kind of switch it, because I feel like it does it almost in a way to be more sympathetic to Laurie rather than sympathetic to Jo.
Was that the same in the 2017 series?
I think that's probably the only version that I can think of that actually did it the right way.
Yeah. He proposed to her after she came back from New York.
Yeah.
I still think he was very romanticized in that version as well.
And it's so important that it happens after New York, because, again, it's one of those moments where it's sort of like you sort of have an inkling that maybe she has a lot more feelings for him than you think she does. But the other version that actually does it correctly is the BBC version, the 1971. Because in both of those versions, they both say like, oh, don't tell me you fell for that old man. And it's like, that's such an important moment, because it's Jo standing up for Friedrich and saying like, don't talk about him like that. And like getting that sort of like first inkling that maybe she has a lot more feelings for Friedrich than you would think she does. And standing up to Laurie, who has been her friend for many years, and pretty much saying, shut up, you don't know what you're talking about. He is as dear a friend to me as you are. Like, I think it's very important in showing the development of Jo and Friedrich's relationship, is that one little moment where she sort of is like ready to just tear Laurie apart, because how dare he say something poorly about her Friedrich.
Yeah, and if he's her friend, he should respect her. But there are a lot of indications that he doesn't. Like before Jo goes to New York, there's that time when he's low-key trying to flirt with her, and she clearly says no. And then before that, a couple of years before that, when Beth gets sick for the first time, I think he's trying to kiss her, and then she says no, and she's 16. And when she goes to New York, then she just starts to develop these feelings for Friedrich. So it's just this natural way of things that she would reject him. I think one of the things that most people miss in Little Woman, even some people who read the novel too, is that it also happens to Laurie that when he's with Amy, he sort of starts to become more independent, which is not the way his and Jo's relationship works, because he was looking her to be his nanny or somebody who taught him what to do. But then with Amy, he sort of becomes more